Hello everyone. Today we're going to see how we can do calculations based on subform. So I'm pretty much, I have built the entire form structure for you just to save us some time. So the first form I built was a product form. I have a product name and unit price, and then, it gives me the list of products that I have with the price, yeah. And next form is my subform. So I drag and drop a lookup field. Then I just have my unit price, my quantity, and then the subtotal. So I relate the subform to the products form using a lookup field, and it just lists all the products that I have here. So the final form is my form, where I make orders. So I have my customer's name, his or her email address. Then, I have my subform where it gives me the list of products. So the first step I'm going to do is when I choose the product, I want to auto-populate the price for that particular product. So I do this using the workflow section. I just open this in a new tab, so it's going to be pretty easy for me to skip between screens. I create a new workflow while using the form. Then I choose order form, then choose create it or edit it, because we want this to happen when we add new data or when we modify new data. So I'll just call it auto populate price. So we're going to do this based on the concept called fetch records. That is under delete script. Then I choose when I want to do it. So you want this to happen when you choose the product. So you say on user input of the products. So then I drag and drop the fetch record task. So then I say, basically guys, I can give any value to my variable. It should be a string value, of course, and it can be X or Y or Z. So basically this is like a container which holds the data that we're going to fetch from the products form into the actual subform. Again, every row of data that's stored has a unique ID. So I'm comparing that ID with the lookup field of my every row that I have in my subform. So I say row.product. So any field you refer within the subform, you're going to call it row.products or row.quantity. And then you say row.unit price equals x.unit price. Pretty simple. So now that's done, I'm just going to see how it works. I'll go to my order form and I'll choose the product. Now you can see the unit price is auto-populating there. All right, so the next calculation I want to do is based on the quantity. So when I enter any quantity in here, I want it to calculate the subtotal for this particular product. And the final calculation would be after I all my products in here, I want to do a grand total calculation. So we're going to do this in the same spot. We need this to happen when we enter or we give a value to that quantity field within our subform. So I just go back into my workflow, I create a new workflow, and while using the form, then I choose my master form, the actual form. I call it calculation. I choose dilute, and then I choose on user input. So that's because I want this to happen when I choose the quantity or when I type a value for the quantity in my subform. So I've pretty much typed the code already for you, but I'm going to run through this quickly. So I just put an if logic in here just to make sure I don't want any error values. So imagine you don't have any products chosen and your customer just enters the quantity. You want this calculation to happen, it's going to throw you an error. So we don't want that. So I'm just going to put an if logic in here saying that if the product is not null, and then you do this calculation. So the first part is for the calculation on the quantity and the subtotal. So it's going to be pretty simple. I say row.subtotal equals row.unit price multiplied by row.quantity. And then I have the calculation for my grand total. So I just give a value for my variable here, and then I use a task called for each. So that means, I have multiple rows in my subform, and I want to calculate the subtotal in all my rows. So basically like an iteration, yeah? So I use this script here, and I give a value for my grand total. I'll just save this. All right, now we'll see how this works in the live mode. I'll just refresh my screen here. Okay, so now I choose my product. So the first thing is with the unit price. It gives me the unit price pulling up automatically now. That's good. So now I choose my quantity, and then I have my subtotal, and you can also see I have my grand total. So now I'll just add another product there for you. Choose mac and cheese. I choose one quantity. All right, so and then quantity. All right, so now you can see the calculation between the grand total and the subtotal. Hope this helps. So if you have any more comments that you have to say, any suggestions, please don't forget to leave them on the comment section and we'll get back to you. Thank you.